Hello all you spacefaring cosmonauts, as always I am Cosmic, and today we're going to be taking a preview look at early access title Stellar Tactics. Now many of you probably have not seen nor heard of Stellar Tactics, and it is essentially a turn-based strategy game that is an isometric, almost in the very classic style of isometric turn-based strategy games, that is set in a sci-fi universe. You have a squad of people that you take around to various planets, but its scope of the game itself is massive, and I'll tell you why. Because it isn't just a straightforward, set pieces, linear, let's go here, let's go to this planet and explore, then let's go to the next planet, then explore. It is in fact very much an open world exploration title as well. So you actually have an entire randomly generated universe to explore that has a main story in it, it has side missions in it, it has places to explore, it has mini quests, it has a bunch of content. And this is even more impressive when you consider that it is developed by Maverick Games, who is essentially a one-man team. So I really don't want to give you an underestimation of how big and ambitious and how wide the scope is for this title, especially for a one-man team. This game is absolutely ginormous. We're not talking about an open world like Skyrim, we're talking about an open universe. We're talking about, being able to visit different solar systems, all with multiple planets that can be scanned, several of those of which you'd probably be able to land on in some form. We're talking about, systems in play here that you have a main quest system, you have side quests, you have a randomly generated universe. On top of that, you also have a mission system within that for side quests and mini missions that is a randomly generated mission system. It is absolutely crazy, the scope and breadth of this title, which leads me to, I would suppose, my first concern is that I am impressed as it currently stands where the title is. However, with a one-man team developing this, is this game going to get finished? I don't know. I certainly hope it does. I think it is a fantastic idea. I'm very impressed with what's there so far, and I'll go into that in a moment. But I have to say that, if you look at it from the perspective of one person developing this entire thing by themselves, the likelihood that this gets finished within a reasonable time frame is not looking good. That said, however, the guy does put out regular content updates pretty much almost every month. The guy consistently puts out new content, fixes, and other features all of the time, which is, and I have to say, at an impressive rate for a one-man team. But let's get into the game itself. So like I said, this is a open universe, open world, whatever you want to call it, turn-based, isometric top-down RPG. And the way this works is that you have your main character, and you can create your main character. There are a multitude of options and weaponry available. If you've played any kind of classic RPG within the last 5 years, Divinity Original Sin, Wasteland 2, anything like that, you're going to be able to jump right into Stellar Tactics. The combat system itself works as you would expect it to work in pretty much any top-down RPG. There's a movement system, it works by action points. Each action is going to cost a certain amount of action points, and so you have to balance your movement with whatever action you want to take. You also have various weaponry, so you can have melee weaponry, you can have hand-to-hand, you can have two-handed weapons, you can have a variety of ranged weaponry from, straightforward projectile rifles to laser beam rifles, all that kind of sci-fi goodness. All of that comes with a skill system whereby as you do more of a certain action, you will gain experience and level up that action, which will enable you to equip or use actions better. So for example, if you use two-handed weaponry a lot, you're going to increase that two-handed weapon skill, and you're going to be able to equip more powerful two-handed weapons. Vice versa, if you use a different skill such as hacking, and you increase that hacking ability, you're going to be able to hack more things and be better at that in general. So it's a very nice skill system. There's nothing particularly innovative in there, nor would I expect there to be, but it's a skill system that's tried and tested, works very well, as is the combat system. Very satisfying, and overall, in terms of its core mechanics and what's underneath the appearance, it is all there to be set to be a very satisfying turn-based RPG. Now, as you would expect from a game like Stellar Tactics, there is going to be a massive amount of exploration. When you are on foot with your character and your group of mercenary soldiers, it's going to be very straightforward from what you've come to expect from any exploration in something like Pillars of Eternity and such like. However, when it comes to being on your ship, this is where things, I feel, start to get a little bit tricky and show the unfinished product as it is in early access. The ship maneuvering systems within the game, they are a little bit clunky as it currently stands. They do not feel smooth, the controls do not feel smooth, but it does the job. There are a couple of, I would say, quality of life issues with the movement system and the general UI systems of the ship part of the game. That said, I have to say that it's shaping up nicely as it currently stands. Not too much work has been done on that side of the game yet, but I have to say that the potential is there to create something really interesting and fun. What I like about the game is that it is got a massive scope in terms of just the sheer size of the thing. The randomly generated universe really helps with the replayability. On top of that, the exploration, moving from planet to planet, scanning those planets, see if there's anything interesting there. All of the side missions available. The main quest is really interesting too. The characters you get to meet. There are a couple of moments at the main quest as it currently stands right now, which is of course unfinished. But even within that, there were a couple of moments that actually did surprise me, and it took a little bit of a twist that I was not expecting. Whereas usually I'm quite easily able to read and see what's coming within any given storyline. There were a couple of moments in there that did actually surprise me, so I was quite impressed by that. The writing as it currently stands isn't too bad. There's no too little voice acting in the game. That said, I have to say that the writing for a one-man team is pretty good, but I think that certainly does need refinement over time. Where the game currently stands, however, overall, is that it's very unfinished, and its technical state is pretty poor. I'm going to say that right now. This game is going to eat your resources. It's unoptimized. It's going to crash. There are bugs. There are issues if you have a 144 hertz monitor that people will start falling through the floor. Technical state, it's not ready at all in the slightest. It's going to be something that, if you are going to struggle with a game that has poor performance and is buggy, then you should not be investing in this particular early access. That said, and that all said, I have to say this. I have fell in love with Stellar Tactics. I think it is an absolutely fantastic idea, and the execution so far of that idea has worked very well. There is a long, long, long way to go until this game would be considered good by any standards in terms of its polish, its quality, its mechanics, the execution of those mechanics, and of course the visuals, the UI and everything in between. However, I am cautiously optimistic about Stellar Tactics. I think it is probably one of the most fun, one of the most interesting little indie projects I have come across in a very long time. And literally, this came out of nowhere. I had no idea this game existed. I just saw it when I was roaming through pages upon pages of Steam games, and decided to give it a try. And for $15, there's plenty of content in there as it currently stands in the early access version for $15-20. That said, if you're going to, like I said, if you're going to have problems with, poor technical stability and that kind of thing, then it's definitely is one to avoid. However, if you can get past that, and if you can get past how ugly the game looks at certain points, underneath is what I think is a absolute gem of a title, even in its current state. And I absolutely love the potential of this game. I love where it's heading. I love the overall idea, and I really, really hope that the developer manages to pull out a really finished, polished product at the end of it. I think that if that happens, no matter how long it takes, I think if that genuinely happens and they manage to produce a polished title, I think that this could be an absolute star of a hit. Otherwise, it's just going to be something that potentially maybe get overlooked. But I think that definitely one to keep your eye on if you are a fan of turn-based RPGs, because I have to say that there's just something about it. There's a certain charm about Stellar Tactics that many turn-based RPGs really fail to have, and certainly they do strive for, but they fail to retain, whereas Stellar Tactics just seems to have that charm about it straight away, regardless of his technical state. And it's certainly one that I'm looking forward to keeping my eye on in the future. And that is my preview for Stellar Tactics. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to subscribe and share the video on social media if you would please. And as always, I will see you next time.